Have you ever wondered what makes the beautiful holiday decorations so magical? I think it's in the details, especially in the fine details. And I want to talk about that in our card making today. So I have chosen this older stamp set from Simon Says Stamp. It's called the Winter Flowers. And I have chosen a couple of images from the stamp set, and I'm using this cream-ish color cardstock, which is lighter. It's darker than the white. I was just showing you the difference between the two. And I've taken this old mouse pad. Now the mouse pad actually helps me to stamp the images crisp and perfect. Just a little bit of padding at the bottom helps with the stamping. And I didn't want to take my Misty out or my stamping tool out, mainly because I would then have to do it, I have to keep removing and doing it multiple times. This was easier. I have chosen a black Memento ink here to start off with the stamping because I will be using Copic color. Talking about details, I am actually building a pattern here, and you can see it's a very simple pattern. I started with the largest. When you build a pattern, always start from the largest of what you have, the largest element that you want, and then you build it downwards. That way you can actually fill the page a lot more. And then I'm going to use some of the Copic markers here. I will put what the Copics I've used is downstairs. Not downstairs, sorry, in the comment box below. Again, you do not have to use Copic here. You can definitely use not watercolor, sorry. You could use color pencils. You could use watercolors if you used watercolor cardstock. It's absolutely, the medium is left up to you. As I said earlier, the magic is in the detail and how that detail enhances this one layered card. Technically it's two layers because I'm taking this layer and I'll be putting it on the card base, but what I'm saying is you're taking a background that you have created or a pattern that you've created to be the main focus of your card. So I'm just going to keep this part very simple. As I said, I have chosen some traditional and some non-traditional colors here. Like right here I've started off with aqua, like it's a kind of a blue-green color but still in the green family for this leaf here. And I'm going to add some olive greens, like this is an olive green that I'm going to add for the holly leaves here. And for the smaller leaf next to the berries, I am going to use some darker shade of green. And also keep in mind, I am only coloring the solid, black solid line image, not the dotted. Leave the dotted line as is if you're using this stamp set. If you're not using this stamp set and you're using something else to build that, then obviously it doesn't matter. But if you do have this stamp set in your stash and you use something like this, just color the solid part. Now, if you don't have the stamp set and you're using some other stamp set, but it has leaves and poinsettia or whatever you use, again, it comes down to the details, what I was talking about. And you can add those in your card to create your Christmas magic. So we'll continue coloring here. As I said earlier, I will use a darker color for the smaller ink, smaller leaves, and then I'm going to add the reds for the berries. I am showing you two different ways to color the red berries here. Again, you don't have to do any fancy shading because once we add the details, none of that would really matter. So I'm just going to keep, you could just actually just do one color if you like, solid color, and then leave it because, as I said, it wouldn't matter. And this is the second way of coloring. You could just start off from the darkest and go to the lightest, and there you go. That's your berry and it still looks beautiful. And here you can see I've completed all the coloring. Now it's time to add the details. For the center, the tiny berries, I'm just going to color it with white gel pen. Now, when you're using a gel pen, especially when you're coloring it, I would recommend you try to use a thicker pen. Like this is a jelly roll pen, which with a size 10. I think it's the nib that's a size 10. Or if you you could use acrylic pen like Posca, or you could even use color pencils, because color pencil white would definitely show on a colored cardstock. And you can see here I'm adding white highlights to the berries. I've added some white vein lines to the leaves. So every little thing is getting a small detail. So you could do that to whatever stamp you use. Next, I'm going to add some gold acrylic pen. Here, this is the one I was talking about from Posca. Posca also makes gold in many other colors and white as well. So I'm just checking the flow of it and the shine. And then I'm going to go, now for this stamp here, it has those dotted lines. So I'm just actually adding this pen over the dotted lines. But if you did not have a dotted line, it's okay, because you could always go over a few of the leaves, away, not exactly on the edge of the actual image, but you can actually offset it a bit and draw the same leaf or pattern, leaf drawing offset a little bit. And these are really easy leaves. They're not too, too complicated. And I'm sorry, for some reason my phone and my computer want to pop up and send me messages. Though I've silenced it, I've put it on airplane mode, I don't know, something's wrong. And then I'm also adding some gold dots all over the place, because I just want to fill up the white spaces. And you can see, even though there are those gold dots, it's not taking away from the pattern, but it did enhance that pattern. So as I said earlier, details matter. Even when you make clean and simple card, even if it is just a white cardstock clean and simple card, details matter, because that is what finishes off your card. So for the sentiment itself, I have chosen this word merry, and this is also from an older stamp set. I think it's from Concord and 9th, and I've chosen this large merry. Now, I've chosen the large merry, but if you notice, it's also a thinner font. It's not a thick font, because I do want the pattern to be visible through the sentiment. So it's not hiding away the pattern, but at the same time, I don't want that to be the only focal point, that the word itself be the focal point and take your eye away from the pattern. So that's the reason I chose a sentiment that was this size, or this this dimension, and with this font. And then the other thing I also did is I cut a few more, die cut a few more, so I could actually adhere them together to make them a little thicker and stand out of the cardstock a bit. And of course you could use foam tape, but it's just too much of fiddling, and this was much easier to do. And now you can see that merry actually doesn't take away from the pattern, but you can still see the word merry. And I can see I've kept the color of the ink of merry very close to the berries of the pattern. And here I've chosen the sentiment. Now these are sentiments that are pre-printed. I got this from Simon Says Stamp. What I was showing here is that the core of the sentiment cardstock is actually white, so I made sure that I cover all the white with a black brush pen. Anyway, going back to the sentiments, these sentiments are sheets of sentiments that you get. Simon Says Stamp makes them, and it's easy when you're making a mass production of Christmas cards, because all you need to do is cut the sentiments into tiny strips and use them on your projects. And I have them usually stashed up, so that I usually even have them cut so that it's easier, but I got this newly and I haven't cut it yet. So I'm just adding the sentiment at the bottom, and now you can see, even with the sentiment, your eye is not away from the pattern, and you can still read the sentiment with all the details that we have added. I hope that makes sense. And next time you do go to make a pattern, or you do start making a card, keep in mind every little detail matters. A dot matters, a stone, a crystal stone matters, a sequence matters, the sentiment that you use, the size of the sentiment that you use, everything matters. And here I've made a few more cards, but this was very easy to make. And this one is actually a top folding, not a side folding. And I've also blended some ink on the sides. So the possibilities to add details is endless. And here are the close-ups of those cards that I created. And I hope I've encouraged you to look at your cards for making that magical moment with the details. And have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.